शुद्ध श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम विश्वपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य शुद्ध श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद महाराज की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से गौ श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपिका श्याम राधा गिरी गोवर्धन की श्री वृंदावन धाम की नवदीप मायापुर धाम की श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की तुलसी देवी की भक्ति देवी की सामवेद भक्तवृंद की ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada ki jai. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3rd, Chapter 6, text number 33. आद्वयाम भगवता जजने शुश्रूषा धर्म सिद्धये तस्याम जातः पुरा शूद्र यतृत्या तुष्यते हरि। पादभयाम भगवतो जजने how do you say that? First word? Padbhyam, okay. Padbhyam bhagavato jajne Shushusha dharma siddhaye Tasyam jata pura shudro Yadrutya tushyate hari। Padbhyam bhagavato jajne Shushusha dharma siddhaye Tasyam jata pura shudro Yadrutya tushyate hari। Padbhyam bhagavato jajne Shushusha dharma siddhaye Tasyam jata pura shudro Yadrutya tushyate hari।
Padbhyam bhagavato jajne
Padbhyam bhagavato jajne
Shushusha dharma siddhaye Tasyam jatah pura shudro Yadvritya tushyate harihi।
Padbhyam bhagavato jagye Shushusha dharma siddhaye Tasyam jata pura shudro Yadvritya tushyate harihi।
Padbhyam bhagavato jajne Shushusha dharma siddhaye Tasyam jatah pura shudro Yadvritya tushyate hari। Padbhyam bhagavato jajne Shushusha dharma siddhaye Tasyam jatah pura shudro Yadvritya tushyate harihi। Padbhyam bhagavato jajne Shushusha dharma siddhaye Tasyam jatah pura shudro Tasyam jatah pura shudro yadvidya dushyate harihi Madhyam bhagavato jagme Shushadharmasiddhaye Tasyam jatah pura shudro yadvidya dushyate harihi
Padmayam, from the legs, Bhagavata, of the personality of Godhead, Jajne, become manifested, Shushusha, service, Dharma, occupational duty, Siddhaye, for the matter of, Tasyam, in that, Jatah, being generated, Pura, formally, Shudra, the servitors, Yat Vruttaya, the occupation by which Tushyate, becomes satisfied, Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation from Vamsi Prabhu. Translation. Thereafter, service was manifested from the legs of the Personality of Godhead for the sake of perfecting the religious function. Situated on the legs are the Shudras, who satisfy the Lord by service. Purport. Service is the real constitutional occupation of all living entities. The living entities are meant to render service to the Lord, and they can attain religious perfection by this service attitude. One cannot attain religious perfection simply speculating to attain theoretical knowledge. The Jnani division of spiritualists go on speculating only to distinguish the soul from matter, but they have no information of the activities of the soul after being to know things as they are, and who do not engage in transcendental loving service of the Lord are simply wasting their time. It is clearly said here that the principles of service was generated from the legs of the Lord for the sake of perfecting the religious process. But this transcendental service is different from the idea of service in the material world. In the material world, no one wants to be a servant. Everyone wants to become the master, because false mastership is the basic disease of the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul in the material world wants to lord it over others. Illusioned by the external energy of the Lord, he is forced to become a servant of the material world. That is the real position of the conditioned soul. The last snare of illusory external energy is the conception of becoming one with the Lord. And due to this conception, the illusioned soul remains in the bondage of material energy, falsely thinking himself a liberated soul and as good as Narayan. It is actually better to be a Shudra than to be a Brahmana and not develop the service attitude, because that attitude alone satisfies the Lord. Every living being, even if he be a Brahmana by qualification, must take the transcendental service of the Lord. Both Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam support that this service attitude is the perfection of the living entity. A Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra can perfect his occupational duties only by rendering service unto the Lord. A Brahmana is supposed to know this fact due to his perfection in Vedic wisdom. The other sections are supposed to follow the direction of the Brahmana Vaishnava, one who is a Brahmana by qualification and Vaishnava by action. That will make the entire society perfect in regard to the order of its social construction. A disordered society cannot satisfy either the members of the society or the Lord. Even if one is not a perfect Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Sudra, but takes to the service of the Lord, not caring for the perfection of his actual position, he becomes a perfect human being simply by developing the attitude of service in the Supreme Lord. Vangyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sobadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Savdutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanavitamsha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayati Girim Yat Kripatam Mamande Shri Guru Dinadarinam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtaye Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschad Deshatarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtaye Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivikas Swaminiti Namine Vancha Kalpatirubhesha Kripa Sindhu Vayevcha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. I'll just read the translation once. Thereafter, service was manifested from the legs of the person of Godhead for the sake of perfecting the religious functions situated on the legs as Shudras who satisfy the Lord by service. So here, how the manifestation of Shudras has happened, that is given. It is manifested from the legs of the Virat Purush. So, in the beginning of Purport, Prabhupada says that service is the real constitutional occupation of all living entities. That's what we know. Jiver Swarupa Krishna Nitya Das. So if he doesn't become Krishna's Das, he will be Das of somebody else. Maybe his wife, children, or his society, or the nation, isn't it? So some way or other you have to be somebody's servant. Like if you see in the airport, if you go, they are not ready to take one book, but then they have a big cage for a dog. Means they are ready to, spend for him. So Prabhupada used to say famously that if you don't love God, you love the rivers of God, isn't it? The dog. So here we see it. One man, he carries 4 or 5 dogs every day. So he's taking the trouble to clear their shit, to bathe them, to hug him, to give him company, like that. But then he is not ready to take up to the devotional service of Lord, which is in the form of literature that we distribute to him, isn't it? So their love has transgressed so much that one woman, I read that she tried to change herself into a cat or a dog, something like that, So see, what Prabhupada is saying in this small sentence, it makes sense. And if you don't love God, your love is going to be devoted somewhere else. But that will lead you to that body. So, anyway, the jiva, because of being conditioned, he is not ready to take this simple pathway, which is meant for his benefit. And that's where he just transmigrated from one body to another. So, like if somebody wants to just be naked, he can just take the body of a tree. Who is stopping him? Isn't it? But then, if you see in the winter, like now snow is falling and like so much trouble it is actually. If you go for a few minutes outside and some part of your is not covered properly, maybe your finger is like outside of the bead, you go and it becomes hard and it's like, only that one point is it's not bearable enough, So they are standing day and night, isn't it, in the winter, in the summer. Like in India, the summer is like extreme. Like sometimes people die. What about the trees? So people, if they take the words of the Supreme Lord seriously, then they are not going to suffer. But their general nature is to just revolt against the Supreme Lord. So the living entities are meant to serve the Lord because we are part and parcel of the Lord, and that is why if we serve Him, that makes us complete. It's just like, one nut falls from this, maybe this instrument, like this mobile stand or something. So the mobile stand, that nut is meant to serve, means make the mobile stand workable, isn't it? But then, if it falls apart, the mobile stand is not affected completely because, like, Prabhupada gives this example, like if the stomach is fed properly, then all other organs are fed properly. Means they get their energy from the stomach. But if they revolt, the finger revolts that, okay, and today I am not going to put the morsel in the mouth because the stomach is enjoying, then it has to suffer, isn't it? Because the energy that it requires for doing any task is provided from the stomach. So, similarly, the Lord is served by different varnas and different ashramas, and they have a purpose. Like the Brahmanas are meant to give Vedic knowledge, that's what we heard, and they are the one who have to make these other classes to rise above. And if they are fallen, like if they are fallen or if they are in their absence, it's not going to work. Like today's society, if you see that Kalo Shudra Sambhavat, means Kalyug is ruled by all Shudras, we see. So, Shudra has certain things to be done, he has to do actually. But then, even in Vedic times, the Shudra was better actually. The Kalos means Kali Shudras are, they are more fallen actually. They are not even Shudras actually. This is what is expressed in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.11.24, where it is said that offering obeisances to the higher sections of the society, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, being always very clean, being free from duplicity, serving one's master, performing sacrifice without uttering mantras, not stealing, always speaking the truth and giving all protection to the cows and Brahmanas. These are the symptoms of the Shudra, 7.11.24. So, he has to not only serve, it means he has not only pay obeisances, but he has to serve the other sections of society, specifically the Brahmana, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. Because like the feet, it carries the entire body, So it's meant to serve the body. Like if I want to go and offer a flower, I have to walk. So the feet helps me, isn't it? And the hands are also functional there. And the stomach is also functional because it gives the energy for the other organs to function. But then the brain, it makes the whole act done. Like it makes the feet go there, the hands to cleanse his hand and then offer it, isn't it? So intelligence is higher here. And intelligence is what's like the Brahmanas are represented as the intelligence of the body, of this Virat Purush. So, means their task is to guide. And the Shudra's task is defined here nicely. But if you see in the current society, although it is said Kalo Shudra Sambhavat, but then we don't find these qualities mostly in the current society of people. Offering obeisances to the higher class sections of society, like Brahmana, Kshatriya and Vaishyas. So, but if we go to any place distributing books, they just want to neglect the Brahmanas. Or the Vaishnavas, they just want to neglect, They said, I'm okay, or sometimes they shout at us. I say, move away, If we are gentle to them, then they speak gently, and after some time when we go to the books, then they are like heavy on us. Many times we all experience this. Or they are just smoking out our face if you go to the airport smoking zone to just give a book. They are not so cultured like the Vedic Shudra that, okay, a Brahman has come, a devotee has come, or a saintly person has come, let's not smoke, We have to tell them that for today, for me, can you do it? And then they sometimes do or sometimes they don't do. So, being always very clean. So, this is also missing. We find the jivas of Kali Yuga, their habits are so filthy, Like example, they play with cats and dogs and then eat with the same hand. So, if one of us are lacking these habits, like sometimes we put our hand in our nostrils and just, we don't want to wash our hands, or we don't want to be clean. Isn't it? Like nowadays, in this present age, people just, even devotees I have seen, they put their hand in the shoes to put means sometimes the shoes is not easily going with the feet, and then they use their hand, but then they don't wash their hands or something like that. So Brahminical qualities are exhibited. Like a Brahmana can't, it's his nature. If he doesn't wash his hand, he will feel uncomfortable. So this is the first quality, like he should be very clean, a Brahmana, at all the places, all the time. Whether it is example, if we are doing devotional service, whether it is altar, whether it is Prabhupada asana or anywhere, we should always keep it clean. Because even in Christianity it said cleanliness is next to godliness, isn't it? Because that even means indirectly they are talking about the mode of goodness. So there are many places, like example, where when you are cooking, you should be aware that, something like example, if we get the chili and the unusable part, it doesn't go in the cooking, that we should take care of. Of course, if they are separated, if they are wholly, then you can, like sometimes we make pakoras for that, but the handle is there. That's for holding. So similarly, there are many places, like in cooking, example, Brahmana. Just last few days back, I shared with Jita Girish Prabhu, I clicked some photos and also showed him. For example, we are making something for the Lord and using coriander. So mostly devotees, what they do? They cut the ends, cut where it is, strapped. And then sometimes, most of the times I've seen, like, they just think that, okay, Walmart or Patel Brothers, it's in the West and it's very clean. But if you separate each of these twigs, of coriander, then you will find some black portion or dirty filth lying. So you are making the food for the Supreme Lord, and then you just want to just finish the act. It's better that you separate the twig and clean it properly and remove the yellow leaves from that, and that way you should be cooking. Means in everything that we are doing, we should be taking care. Like if you are touching something filthy or something like maybe the gas or something, you should always cleanse, because sometimes, you just go on continuing. Example, you are making a batter, so you should not be touching the gas in between and then again continuing that. So this, even it is said that the Kalyug, Shudras also should be clean. What to talk about Brahmanas? Like in the Vedic times, if the Brahmanas, like the previous age, it was like deity worship was the main principle of attaining the Supreme Lord. So deity worship has a lot of rules, example. Like example, if you are entering the temple and the entrance of the temple, if you touch it, you have to cleanse your hand. Or the materials, wherever you are getting from, you have to wash it. So many rules are outlined, so that slowly we come to the mode of goodness. In all aspects, this applies everywhere. So, like sometimes the devotees are cleansing hand, and like maybe they may touch the tap, and it's like, you're not washing. So you should use your intelligence, like maybe with the elbow you can just move the tap or something. So like that, so many things are there, where everywhere you have to use your intelligence, so that, the mode of goodness is not affected. Sometimes we see that sometimes on the table clothes are lying for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and it's dried totally actually. So that is not Brahminical, whoever it may be, maybe me also if it is. So it's not Brahminical actually, because it's in the mode of it goes in the mode of ignorance actually. Like clothes are lying there for eternity. So this all, if you read Bhagavatam, everywhere these details are given, A small mistake, I'm not good at recitation. I tried many times like this. I have gone through this verse many times, but still, I falter in that. So, of course, I should not be giving excuses, but slowly I should come up to that level where I am able to translate. Because Guru Maharaj gives a lot of stress on this. So, in everything that we do, we should try to, come a level higher. So, like, just about cleanliness. Many things are there in cleanliness. Like we see Guru Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj, he's like before meeting him, had anybody had this prayer in his hand and he's always cleansing? No. That is because he's showing by his own behavior actually. Wherever he is, you'll never find that like Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj or even people who are not his disciples, they know, how much strictly he follows. So that kind of examples are required. Means a Brahmana or a Vaishnava should teach by his own example. So then further another aspects are like being always very clean, being free from duplicity. So now even like he has to not be duplicitous. Why he has not to duplicitous? Because if he becomes duplicitous, then what will happen, that one thing that is making him qualified to get devotion of the Supreme Lord is his servitude attitude to his master, that is the Brahmana, Kshatriyas. So there, if he is duplicitous, what will happen? He will get into this mentality of cheating, and then he will get into the act of stealing. And then he is not even in the class of Shudras actually. Like I read some article or something from my Guru Maharaj, and there this Henry Ford's example is given. And he was glorifying his worker that they don't steal and all these things. And then he's asking, how is it? So he said that we have one set of rule, If something is valuable, we immediately keep it in the closet. We just lock it. We don't keep it open. Like example, you have a diamond, you will not leave it open, isn't it? You should keep it protected. That is intelligence. So he just told by a simple example. So like that, the Brahmana, Kshatriyas, they should have this knowledge, what's going where and what is happening actually. Because that is their duty. The brain, like I told the example of offering flowers to the Lord, to Prabhupada or to the Lord, that the brain is guiding all the other organs. Whether it is like the Brahmanas are guiding the Kshatriyas and the other classes. So that should happen. So this Brahmana also has a task, like giving this knowledge to all others and bringing them a level higher than what they are actually. If you see the case of Narad Muni or any great personality, especially Narad Muni, like even a person like Mrugari used to get pleasure in killing animals half the way, means he used to take pleasure in seeing them die. So that personality later, when he changed by the discourse of Narad Muni, he was respecting even the ants. So like that, we see in the case of Prabhupada also many times, like some butterfly was in his room and he should tell his servants that you have to take this and leave it at some flower and something. Or once he was walking in Australia somewhere and the disciple was moving some ducks crossing, and then Prabhupada said that the way you are thinking, they are, they are a hurdle in our pathway. They are also thinking like that for you. So he was conscious of everything and anything that was happening. So, like here we see that they should be free from duplicity. Means that's what the master should be taking care, that this doesn't happen. And he himself, because if the master is perfect, then what happens? The servant also becomes perfect. If the husband knows the duties of if husband knows dharma in and out, then he will be able to teach his wife also, and the wife has to follow. That is the principle. Or like one who is at the level of servitude, he has to follow. Performing sacrifices without uttering mantras, not stealing. Yeah, that's what I said. Why he should not be duplicitous. So he can sit in the sacrifice with the Brahmanas, with his master, but he can't recite mantras. That's what is told here. Then, not stealing. You should not have the habit of stealing, because then he will downgrade himself thoroughly. Always speaking the truth. So whatever his master asks, that whether you did this thing or not. The first thing a devotee should also be having these qualities, being truthful.
You may do a mistake, but you should agree that I did it. That's where your, means the part 2 knowledge starts. If you are lying, then it's not going to work actually, You may read whatever scriptures and how much you may be paying obeisances, but if you are not truthful, then you are not going to get any knowledge because you yourself are responsible for that. So, as devotees also, if we should not have this habit of lying because, habit becomes second nature. Once one god brothers of our came to Guru Maharaj in Pune, and he said that these devotees, they are just paying obeisances and they don't mean it. But Guru Maharaj saw the good part of that. He said that it's good. Slowly that will become their nature. And because habit is second nature, it said. So, there is a minor difference between our outlook to certain things and his outlook to a Vaishnava's outlook. Like it was told that Yudhishthira Maharaj was told to find the worst person in the entire Kuru kingdom. And he went, and he and Duryodhan both were sent actually. And Duryodhan came that there is no one good in this whole kingdom, he said. And whilst, if you see Yudhishthira Maharaj, he said that he found all the good qualities in every being over there. 1 second. So, and Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked then that, did you find any of this, any person who's downtrodden or something, fallen and he said that there is no one who, he saw good qualities in every being he passed on. And he said that there is no one fallen than me actually. That's what he saw. So, like that, a devotee, of course, the point came from that he should be speaking truth. Of course, in book distribution, sometimes you have to hide the truth. That is also so that we give him the eternal truth. That's the reason we hide, isn't it? It's like if a cow is, if a butcher is following a cow, so we should not be guiding the butcher to the cow, or else next body will get, as the story goes, that then the Brahmana's wife or the Brahmana guided that, okay, the cow went this direction. He told the truth. So where we were, and the butcher followed him, the cow, and he killed the cow. So then he suffered, and next lifetime the roles were reversed, and he got the karma for that. So truth should be spoken, but to protect dharma, sometimes if you have to be untruthful, like example in preaching, if you have to be, sometimes you have to hide so many things, isn't it? Like we can just tell him that this is the message of Bhagavad Gita, but then depending on the person in front, we sometimes tell in different ways so that we are telling the same thing sometimes, but in his language we say, it's not false also. Once I met one person at this belt line, and he was saying, he saw this easy journey of other planets, this book he liked, and he was saying, then he was interested, and he says, he was asking, how are the aliens? I said that when they walk, it's like dancing. When they sing, when they speak, it's like singing, and like that. And how do they look, he was asking. Because I wanted to give him this book, and he says, how do they look? I say, they are so beautiful. The most beautiful person on this planet. They are more beautiful than we can't just measure it. And then he went to the verge of asking me, what is this planet? What is the name? Means where do they stay? I said it's called Golok Vrindavan. I told him actually. So I just connected. If you see Easy Journey to Other Planets, Prabhupada is again trying to tell the same, means like how you can't travel to the other planet, but he's antimatter of this description, if you go through, it's the same thing if he's telling, but in a language, the modern people will take. Like when Prabhupada came to the West, he had written, the founder Acharya, on the initial books, like as if, he has established he has a big society. So even Prabhupada by his own example is showing, like how to deal with things in preaching, or how a Brahmana or a Vaishnava should be very expert actually. he should use all his senses to, to make things happen. So then he has to give protection to the cows and brahmanas as well, it is said. So means maybe under the guidance of Vaishyas, he learns this act and he has to do that always as well. So, like we hear that the Vaishyas do Krushi Go Raksha Vanejiti Vaishya Sabha. So that is the Vaishya's nature. But then, being an assistant to the Vaishya, he means at certain points, apart from the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, he at one point must be assisting the Vaishyas also. He is assisting the Vaishyas. And that's where he should take this role as well. These are the symptoms of a Shudra. So, how can he be first class servant? He has to follow this. So, Kala Shudra Sambhavad we say. But do we see that Kala Shudras are not at that category? It's just a nomination or something like that, because they don't exhibit any of these qualities. Most of these qualities we don't see. Maybe sometimes they are truthful or sometimes they are clean or sometimes they are not duplicitous. Like some Christians, they accept, the Vedic principles and they listen to us, and sometimes they agree that, we should not be killing animals and so many. They agree with so many things. But then they disagree later. At certain point, then they disagree also. Okay, I agree with what you say, but still, I would not take this book and just continue as a Christian or whatever it may be. So this is just basic qualities of the Shudra that we hear. But then, just to be a human being also, there are certain qualities. There are, in fact, the 7th canto, 11th chapter, verse 13, verse 14 next. One second. One second. Yeah. Verse number 10, 10 to 14 maybe. Yeah. 8 to 12. It describes that in this, if you go through the purport, these are the general principle to be followed by all human beings. They are just talking about human beings. These are the qualities that are required to just be a human being. Truthfulness, mercy, austerity. Yeah, so they should, means any human beings, like if, that's the reason if you distribute Bhagavatam, people are going to come to the level of human beings and then to the level of, as a Vaishnava they are going to come to that level, because here, this is just describing that what a human being should have. He should be truthful, he should be merciful. So now, mercy means even showing mercy on the animals, mercy means showing, even giving knowledge to other people about the eternal truth. So like that, as devotees, we were not, when we were not devotees, then we were not being merciful. Like maybe we were killing animals, we were not giving this knowledge to others, isn't it? So then austerity, observing fast on certain days of the month. So austerity is meant for human beings. Bathing twice a day. So if, like I heard, like in Australia, there is a certain parlors, they cater to the service of bathing you once in a week or something. So, Kali Yuga Jivas, first, even to come to the level of human beings is difficult actually. Like one of my friends, he used to come to our program and he used to come with us in Yatra, and we observed, like every time he will not, even for eating, he will not go and clean hand, because the sanitizer he'll take, just do, and then eat, and again put sanitizer. So, see, means learning all these habits that, this is like all low-class habits that we are taking. Okay, you can use your hand sanitizer, but then you have to still wash your hand with, water or something. Bathing twice a day, tolerance. So tolerance is required. Like in preaching, if you see that people are not tolerant, they are not ready to tolerate us actually, the devotees. Discrimination between right and wrong should happen. So if you are a human being and specifically a Vaishnava, you should know you should yourself know, whether I'm doing this thing is good or no. You may show a different face to people about for protecting yourself in something, but then you yourself should know. Like we see, like sometimes some devotees, they just want to hide that, no, I didn't do this. This is what I didn't meant like this and this, but then, you should be at least that much intelligent that whether whatever thing I did or whatever I said, whether it was right or wrong, you should discriminate. Then you will progress further. If I don't know, like example, from a green piece, if I don't know what should be separated, whether I should keep the covering or whether I should keep the piece, then how come, you will be able to, you will just, instead of the piece, you will cook the cover, and how will it taste, So the original essence. So like that, in everything you should know, you should learn this act of discrimination. Control of the mind, control of the senses. If you control the senses, you are able to control the mind. Non-violence, celibacy. So apart from devotees, and specifically followers of Srila Prabhupada, nobody is talking about celibacy. Everybody is talking about whichever movies, magazines, they are just teaching, how to break your celibacy. This mobile has caused this all crimes with women, children, that is rape, molestation, or, even this has come to the level of, even molesting or raping your own relatives, friends nowadays. In India, abroad, we see that parents have molested or causing, sexual crimes against their own family members. Isn't it? There was one case where in the US or in the West, like one person, he was utilizing his wife with, and means drug her and just let men enjoy her. And it came to her after a maybe period of 10 to 12 years, Or India nowadays, so many crimes are happening that own family members are causing sexual crimes. This is because, this principle of celibacy is not taught. In the school nowadays, they want to teach sexual education, or they just want to tell that, children should be made aware about sex and all these things. But if they are made aware at the age of 10 also, they are trying to, do rapes or running from their house. So many things are happening. So, charity, they should be giving because if they give charity, then, whatever karma they are accumulating from their work, somewhere at least that is total in the Lord's service. And then, slowly, they will be given a chance by nature to come further. Like example, if somebody gives water and example, like day before yesterday, somebody gave me, he was not ready to give money, so I took water from him, maybe 24 bottles. And that's what Prabhupada disciples, they drank, So indirectly, such a great personality he has served, So it's like he says, if you serve this great personality, you never know. Immediately the path, the whole, like if strong winds come, immediately, the biggest of doors also open. So like that, it's just somehow or other. So charity is encouraged. If you see in India, like if you see the Gujaratis or Marwadis, they are ready to spend money. They will not take books, but they say, take money. Just leave us. So that is because this principle helps them come. Although they are motivated by dharma, artha, kama, moksha, but then slowly, if that service goes to a pure devotee, then things will change for him. So there are almost then charity, reading of scripture. This verse we can tell, you can show to people that a human being is one who reads scriptures. For people who say that I don't have time to read and so many things, they give simplicity. Like if you see in book distribution, a person who is very simple-hearted, somehow or other he listens to us and then he takes a book or maybe it ends up taking Bhagavatam. Satisfaction. So you should be satisfied with whatever you are getting. Means, whatever you are getting, it is by the mercy of the Lord and your own karma. So you should not be, cribbing for that. If you crib, then, and if you don't respect what you are getting, then material nature makes it a point to make you understand that how important it is to be satisfied. If you see Bali Maharaj, when Vamandev, when he was asked by Bali Maharaj to ask for more, at that point he said that if I am not satisfied with 3 steps of land, I will not be satisfied with what I get from the entire world, or what wealth I get in from as collective as the entire world. Rendering service to the saintly persons. So whoever comes, we should motivate them to serve the saints. So some way or other, gradually taking leaves of unnecessary engagements, observing the futility of unnecessary activities of human society. So unnecessary engagements means whatever prajalpa or waste of time we are doing, observing the futility of unnecessary activities of human society, remaining silent and grave and avoiding unnecessary talk. This is one quality that helps devotees as well. Considering whether one is the body or the soul, distributing food equally to all living entities, both men and animals, seeing every soul, especially in the human form, as part of Supreme Lord. So there are many qualities like that. Just I will read, hearing about the activities and instruction given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the shelter of the saintly person, chanting about these activities and instructions, always remembering these activities and instructions, trying to render service, performing worship, offering obeisances, becoming a servant, becoming a friend, and surrendering one's whole self. So these 32 qualities, King Yudhishthira, these 32 qualities must be acquired in the human form of life. Simply by acquiring these qualifications, one can satisfy the Supreme Person of Godhead. So this quality is just, they are talking about human beings. But like other, so just to be a human, you have to be on this level. So what to, about the 4 classes if you talk, there are different qualities they exhibit. Like the Kshatriyas, they should have valor and they should be able to protect their subjects. There is one story of one king, he returned from war and it was night hours and he was asking to open the doors. And the queen asked that you should check with the king that whether he has won the battle or he, what's the status of the battle. That's what she was asking. And she came to know that he ran from the battlefield and she rejected the king. She told that he has to go back. Because even a Kshatriya queen is not ready to accept, because for a Kshatriya, disrespect is as good as death. So, like that, or Vaishyas, if they are not protecting cows or if they are not making agricultural, doing agricultural aspects in a proper way so that the general masses get food and clothing and everything, then they are not Vaishyas. Like today's Vaishyas, if you see, this Patel Brothers is not Vaishya actually, because they are selling chicken masala and mutton masala and this is not Vaishya. Or Kshatriyas, they are protecting these borders. They are not Kshatriyas actually, because they are just fighting for a piece of land. Like example, India and Pakistan or India or China, they are fighting on a piece of land which Prabhupada says is not cultivable also. What do you use? You are spending your so much energy of material, taking from the material nature and you utilizing it for nothing, for a piece of land which is not cultivable also. So, these are not Kshatriyas, or Kshatriyas, they are like like we see the modern prime ministers, they are not specifically like the king in the Vedic times, who for the battle right being in the front. They are just ordering. Maybe Trump is ordering, sitting in his office, that bombard here, and Modi is saying bombard this part of Pakistan. But then are you fighting in the battle? So they are just, like today's politicians or any class if you take, they are just at the level of Shudras. Like yesterday he said that, Prabhupada said that this, although he compared the philosophers or scientists or great personalities who are like in the position of teachers to Brahmanas, but that is just so that they understand what the Brahmanas are. So the thing is, like, if the class of people, like if the class of men, like Brahmana, Kshatriya, if they don't exhibit these qualities, then they are just for namesake, they are Brahmanas, or they are just, by name, they are just Brahmana. If you are a lawyer and if you don't know constitution in and out, then just you are just named by, for namesake you are a, what do you say, a lawyer or something. Like India, sometimes they do malpractices and become a doctor. But then when the original point of, giving medicines and all this comes, how are you going to, check the patient, and how are you going to register them with some medicines or something like that? So the point is, this all distinction, whether it is a Brahmana, Shudra, Vaishya, or Kshatriya, happens on the basis of qualities and not on the basis of birth. It's at Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Guna and Karma. Means his guna should be also according to what he is representing, whether he is a Kshatriya. If his guna is, if he is a Shudra and if his guna is like that of a Brahmana, then we accept him as a Brahmana. But if it's the reverse, then we don't take. So, but then we see that how does this people in this Kali Yuga came to this level of Shudra? So this is because slowly, this qualities, they started, means maybe this 36 qualities of being just a human being are mentioned. So like that, one odd qualities, slowly they gave up on these qualities. Like if you see India at the present condition, it's full of beggars, thieves, and filthy people putting all the dirt in Ganges, like he said yesterday. But if you see the history of India, it started from 1836, where Lord Macaulay, he came to India. And he said, it is his own words. You can just Google or you can just go through the newspapers in UK. And he said, there is not a single beggar or thief in India. And what they did then, they came, but they said that it's such a prosperous country. It was called Golden Sparrow, and it was Golden Sparrow. So it was so prosperous that, like nowadays, this fake currency is used, paper. Like World Bank is printing just paper and giving it to people. This is money. But this was not, Vedic times, we had gold coins. So gold is an equal measure, like 1 tola of gold if you tell, 1 gram of gold if you take. It price value is equivalent, isn't it? But, if you take a note, $1 note, what's the value? Even fake notes can be printed, in India or something, this 500 note, 2000 notes. So this was happening. But then they came here and then they thought that, okay, if you want to rule over them, then what do you have to do? You have to break that backbone. That is the culture and their heritage. It is to be broken. Like if you want me to be on the ground, you have to hit it on my back and just I can fall, So like that, then what they did, they started gathering all these scriptures and they employed scholars to get to learn Sanskrit. And then what they did, they started concocting things. Wherever they had some loophole to find, or not a loophole exactly, but wherever there are things where it can be concocted. Like they say that, you say that the Brahmanas, filth is not worshipable, but you take the cow dung and then you are applying in your house and you are using it for worshipping your Lord and so like that they told, then how is it? Means they tried to contradict things from the Shastra. Or you use a conch shell, this is just a waste of an animal, and that you are using in the Lord's service. And how is it then, So they just made the point to the Indians or to the followers of Vedic tradition that, okay, this is degradation. This is something that you are following and it doesn't make sense. Or you are collecting honey, honeybees collect honey and that honey you are using the Lord's service. So like that, so many things they just, means scriptural references they took and they started, trying to break it so that you yourself, the followers of Vedic tradition, they started believing, and that, okay, this is not worth. And example, like this Varnashram system, if you see, There is no point, there is no fault in that. Even in the West, if you see, there are like people who are doing a barber's job. Their, their business is passed on sometimes to their family members, like son or daughter, and they just continue. Or if you are a, what do you say, a site worker or something, your son also sometimes ends up, or it's very rare chances that it changes, isn't it? Or if you are a good cook, then it passes on to your son, because naturally that's in your blood. So this happens in the West also, like, or if somebody is in the military, then his sons also, like if you see in India, if you, people from Punjab or maybe Rajputs, most of them are in the military or something, or people from Haryana, specifically people from the north. So that is because that is in their blood, that Kshatriya spirit was there, like New Delhi, which is the old Kuru dynasty, so Kuru kingdom. So that was in the blood, but at current status also, they are acting like Kshatriyas, but not in the true sense, yeah. So, what was the point I was saying before this? Yeah, then slowly, it came to this level, where the British, after ruling India and just before leaving, they gave this Macaulay education, which we see as current education, what we have, which is not Vedic education. So the degradation of the Vedic culture or Varnashram system happened from the change in education, because if you see any Vedic university, whether it's Nalanda or anything like that, so there, this knowledge was only given, this filthy knowledge of just how to mate, how to sleep, how to defend yourself. This was not given actually. Yeah, this was told, but then it was told on Vedic ways, like procreation was told. But then what was the purpose of procreation? That was also told. But currently it is like, if you see, like yesterday you were saying that they use this blade and just throw in the Ganges, or the Yamuna water is so dirty, full of chemicals. But you see, I was just seeing the list of inventions, and most of these inventions that are like use and throw, that are from the West actually. Because Indians, example, even if they are using this, what do you say, banana leaves for eating, or maybe some another leaves for eating, and even I was telling him yesterday that even the broken pots, they were used for eating. So I see, my mother is from a very remote village actually, and there I used to see, I observed these all things. They used to use wood and cow dung for making the food, and the food was very opulent actually. And then whatever ashes were left, that were used for cleaning the teeth, or maybe neem was used. So nowhere, or the ashes were used, there was no soap or something like that. They used ashes for cleaning, because it came from cow dung. And the floor was not mopped with phenyl or something, with cow dung only. Daily they used to do this thing. And even after passing, going to washroom or something, they used to use this, because that was a good cleanser. These chemicals we are using, but then at the end they are going into the earth or going to the waters. Like once my Guru Maharaj was telling that this water that we drink in the cities or in the advanced countries, 20 times it's your own filth that is coming filtered to your tap. And that's what we use for cooking or something like that. So the point is, everything, there was not a single waste I was seeing, They used to fill water from the wells, there was no tap system, and for passing, like we see this, push button types of toilets, or this modern toilets where we are just pushing a button and the filth we don't see. But then the filth we get in our own glass after some time. So what's the point? Because like in Yamuna all the water is going, or whatever industrial waste is going. This is nowhere industries were existing before, before the Western influence. So the point is, everything was utilized. Even I know, I was from a remote village, that there was no washroom concept. Only the rich people, they had toilets or something. And most of the people, they went into the fields, and you said, it's so in the fields, in the open. But there was a place for men and there was a place for women. And there were these, pigs. Immediately you pass, and after that they are the more natural mobs, They are the natural cleaners. So, or it goes to in the field. It used to go into the, means what came from the earth, went back to the earth, and it became a fertilizer. Nowadays at many places they use this as a fertilizer, because that is what the earth requires, gets nourished from, or the cow dung is used. So like everything was utilized. There was no waste actually. Like there was no razor. It was like, they used to just sharpen it and again reuse. Yeah, it was not. Then came Gillette, manufactured at the United States of America, the most advanced country. And then what happened? Indians started using that. Okay, because after the British came, this influence started. They thought that because of our religion, because till they went, it was brainwashed to them that your religion is the cause, or your heritage is the cause of your downfall. And then they took to the habits of this, fair people, and then they started using Gillette and throwing in the Ganges, or they started. I saw modern, inventions like TV, mobile, all that is causing havoc. If you go to, it's like, it's come from the advanced countries actually. If the advanced countries stop their advancement, it would be better for the world actually, If you go to Bhutan, Bhutan is one very good example where they do not allow your influence. And if you see, Bhutan is very peaceful, happy, and they don't allow plastic and so many things. But now, slowly, initially TV was also not allowed, it is restricted. And Bhutan is very peaceful, clean, and the condition was very good. So the point is, this destruction of Varnashram happened by people who wanted to introduce a consumer society. And that's why, like I remember in the way, like 20 years back, we didn't have nappies. My nephew, when he was a small kid, they used to use cloth, wash it, again reuse. Or they had different clothes. Means these old saris were torn, that was used as nappies. But the huggies that were nappies that we use, it was so filthy. If you open it out after maybe a day, and it's like you'll faint, So this was invented in the West actually and introduced so that your consumer needs, you become a consumer society. So this, at least in our Varnashram community, we should not be introducing these modern concepts of just to adjust for somebody. At least for some people, we can give certain things. But then we should, as much as we can avoid all these things, these modern interventions, like whether it's for eating or sleeping or anything. Like we didn't use Dunlop beds. My mother slept on such small mats also. And slowly this introduction came. Because in the TV, in mobile and cable, everything is in. You have to drink Coca-Cola. Then you become peaceful and cool inside. You have to smoke wheels, then become a king. You become like a king. And this is, if you use this razor called Gillette, you are like, your face is super smooth, and you can even, take a ride on that, like that. So many things. So in the Vedic times, there was no such concept, of waste. Plastic was not used. Earthen pots were used, or for cooking, eating, everything. Now, even if you go to Puri or places like Bhubaneswar, like still people eat on these leaves, And there is, if you read His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, glimpses of traditional, there is that in Bangladesh and in various parts of India also, now also they have this pukur. Pukur means small ponds. One pond was meant for bathing, the other pond was meant for just for cooking. So cleanliness is maintained, It's not that everything mixes. So we have to go to various different places in India, find the village life there, and then take to Varnashram. That is the better way. Because if you introduce advanced thing, then we see that even the qualities of Shudra we will not find. So if you don't want degradation of our Varnashram community, then we should make it a simple village. You can come, sometime you can come to my, I don't know at present my mother's place, how it is. They just made houses of mud and the roads were just of stone. No tar and nothing like that, So like that, the whole thing is this collapse of the current Varnashram, even in our own farm communities, can happen if we start introducing small things. Like Prabhupada has stopped us drinking tea and coffee as well. Because if we drink tea and coffee, then we'll take a soda. Then in soda we'll take little alcohol. Like that, slowly we'll progress. So he is telling us not to take a small intoxicant. So like that, small introduction of anything new, which is from the mundane world, you are making a base for collapsing, the Varnashram societies or whatever, even Krishna consciousness. If you see, apart from many places in India or in the West, they are not following Prabhupada's teachings, which are from Krishna's teachings. And then we see so many obnoxious things are happening. Illicit relationships are happening. People are just watching movies on Netflix. Great personalities who are serving Prabhupada once are not now watching Netflix movies, or they are subscribing to all these ideas of enjoying because they have done emotional devotional service. But then this happened because some small introduction happened somewhere. Okay, anyway, there is a lot of things to speak, but I'll end over here. If anybody has any question, comments, or any doubts, or any connections, he can just do it now.
You're speaking of not introducing like these modern amenities in farm communities. But anyways, I got some general idea that you kind of have to ease your way into self-sustainability. So you have to, we can't just automatically renounce all the things we're used to in the city, but we kind of have to like give it up one by one. But it seems like from what you're saying, we should like kind of start really simple and not bring those influences with us. So if you could please elaborate on that.
Yeah. See, the thing is, for that we have to, like, our role model should be, I told in the lecture also that our role model should be simple Indian villages where they are doing all these things. Okay, for people not adjusting, we can introduce something, I'm saying. But the best example would be, to keep it as it is. Like if you see, wherever even in ISKCON circles, wherever some small introductions that are from the outside world are introduced, it has caused, disturbances in our Krishna conscious society as well. Like we are taking influence from this Western, like from the mundane world of making this Hare Krishna mantra to be a rock, like a rock music or in a rock form. But then if you see, slowly that introduction has led to this Kirtan Melas and people singing in a different way. And we know what happens in Kirtan Melas. People try to, mostly it happens that we want to sing this way and that way just to please to the, it's rather than the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, it's for the pleasure of the opposite sex. And so many degradations are, if you see the people leading these things, slowly, their influence is touching everywhere. Like now Kirtan has changed in a different way from what Prabhupada's simple Kirtan of Hare Krishna, isn't it? That simple Kirtan, now also if you listen to Prabhupada Kirtan and to the modern, it's like a big rift between the two. So it happened somewhere introducing. So maybe for people who can't adjust with that, we can keep a space where, just little bit. If you start introducing just that so that more and more people can come, yeah, it's good, more and more people should come. But then if after a certain point, you should start that pulling it out as well. Or else then if it continues, then it becomes difficult. Like if you use chulas and if you teach, like in our childhood we used to get one powder called Bitco. It was like we used to use that as children, and that had charcoal, and then the companies who manufacture this toothpaste, they said, oh, charcoal you are using, it's so we are not using charcoal exactly. We are using cow dung ash or maybe wood ash mixed together, and they came with a Bitco which had all ingredients that were like, some kind of medicinal things that were in that. And after 20 years or 30 years, we have charcoal close-up or charcoal, whichever paste, Colgate or something. So the point is, that was simple for us, we are getting it from nature. Or we can just pull a neem, we can just cultivate neem and take it, stick it like Prabhupada preferred. And what's the need of a brush or toothpaste? Because after certain point of use, you will understand that it's more healthier. It clears the stomach, it cleanses the teeth like anything. So this introduction should also simultaneously happen. Or else if we just keep it that, okay, we have to have self-sufficiency, but at the same time we have to introduce the culture of living as well. If you don't use the culture, then it's not going to work. Because then people will just want to continue, because the jiva, he is always conditioned to be in comfort zone. If, like, now we are distributing sets of books, but were we distributing maybe 10 years or 5 years back or something like that? But now we feel that sets are better, isn't it? But people who are still distributing single books, they feel it comfortable. So the thing is, like, introduction of a higher standard, because of that, then we are ready to give up on a lower standard. So like that means this introduction, or we can just get this society of devotees staying over there to get to such places where we have example, where we have villages that still exist. Like there is still a village in India where doors and windows are not there. So if you talk that there is a society of thieves and roaches, but there is still a society where doors, and then people will agree, okay, even if you don't put door. But of course in modern societies, I'm just giving an example, like that we should show examples to people, where these villages are existing. You go to Nandagram and you see so many things. If you stay for 2 days, even a woman or man staying in the city, he is affected by what's going on there. He feels that this is better actually, because he's not wasting my time in Krishna consciousness. So we have to take them to places where higher examples are there as well. Yeah, little bit comfort can be given. I'm not saying completely. Like somebody using a Western toilet and immediately we tell him to go in the fields or something, man or woman. So for women who are like, we can have a system like we have in Kurmagram where they put ash, and for the washroom they use ash, and they have this modern amenity use. So that after one or two, at least after one generation, we should change that thing. One generation is a big time, but then at least the change should start happening. Because if you just don't make the change, then it's going to continue as it is. Then we can get scriptures as it is, varnashram as it is, or we can just contain mundane ways as it is. It will also continue. Is it okay, or you still have doubts? Yeah. Anybody else has any question over here? Mataji's? Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.